to show the film. 27 was the end of the 5 weeks. I've gone for the whole
I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathering today on the traditional lands of the Whangarong people of the Kulin Nation and pay my respect to the elders past, present and emerging. It is a great thrill to welcome you all to the 2022 ASPJ Oration. I am Ezra May, President of the Australian Society of Polish Jews and their Descendants, the ASPJ. For those uncertain or unfamiliar with what we do, the ASPJ statement of purpose is to preserve and promote the historical and cultural heritage of Jewish life in Poland and to foster understanding between current and future generations of Polish and Jewish communities. We try to achieve these noble aims through a variety of events, engagement and communication with our local Polish community, as well as activities on a formal diplomatic and governmental level. During COVID, the ASPJ pivoted to hosting online presentations and webinars. A selection of some we have hosted recently include Jewish Poland and its role in the Ukrainian refugee crisis with Poland Chief Rabbi Michael Shudrik, Israel and Poland, Friends or Enemies with former Polish Ambassador to Israel Agnieszka Majak-Niżewska, a panel discussion from the Marek Edelman Dialogue Centre, Guardians of Memory Association and Hakoach regarding Jewish Lodge Today, History on Trial with Holocaust historian Jan Grabowski, and only 3 weeks ago, an online tour of the Galicia Jewish Museum from Krakow, followed by a discussion with its director, Jakub Nowakowski. Pleasingly, we have again started to host live in-person events, starting with our Henryk Sławik Award, dedicated in memory of the great Polish diplomat, politician and humanitarian, Henry Sławik, who saved several thousand Jews between 1940 and 1944 before being subsequently murdered himself by the Nazis in Mauthausen. The Sławik Award is bestowed upon an individual who contributes to a greater understanding of the unique and dynamic contribution by the Polish Jewish community to the all-embracing Polish culture and ethos, and in December 21 was awarded to author Arnold Zabel. Recently, a few weeks ago, the acclaimed creative project curated by our Vice President, Estelle Roginski, and He Taught the Canaries to Sing, featuring animations and stories from pre-war Jewish Poland, was hosted by the ASPJ at Beth Wiseman. Recordings of these, plus a host more webinars, functions and material, are available for viewing on our website, polishjews.org.au, and our YouTube channel, ASPJ. It is a real highlight for the ASPJ, after a 2-year COVID absence, to host our 2022 ASPJ Oration. Much thanks to the Wolf and Dora Reicher Memorial Fund for its generosity in allowing these orations to occur. In 2019, we featured Dariusz Popiela, the then director of the world-famous Polish Museum of the History of Polish Jews in Warsaw. The star of tonight's oration is Dariusz Popiela, of People Not Numbers. Dariusz is an Olympian, 9-time Polish champion and multiple medalist at World and European Championships in kayaking. But additional to his very successful sporting career, Dariusz also founded and runs People Not Numbers. I speak with a little knowledge here tonight, as indulgently for a moment, personally, I've actually seen Dariusz and People Not Numbers live in action. As featured in the Spring 2018 edition of Haint, the ASPJ's 3-time-a-year newsletter, featuring news and articles of interest and relevance under the production of Izimamo, I penned a 3-page write-up of my experience being present at the 17th of June 2018 unveiling in Kroshenko. It is also heartwarming to have in the audience tonight descendants of the Zuskin family who are now memorialised in Kroshenko. I'm actually tempted to read out loud all 3 pages of my experience, but I won't. I will repeat though, as I've said before, that this was the single most profoundly satisfying, meaningful and impactful experience I've had in all my trips to Poland. I finished my piece. It felt like Dariusz's vision of people not numbers, of granting a final dignity to each person murdered, individually rather than grouped collectively, was achieved. That even just for a passing afternoon, 76 years after the Nazis rounded up, shot and unceremoniously collectively buried the Jews of Kroshenko, they were finally being acknowledged and formally laid to rest. I felt like a participant in the final stage of their burial, that after 76 years of lying there anonymously, these victims were finally being acknowledged. And with the monument erected, there is now a headstone to eternalise their existence. What is so remarkable about People Not Numbers is the care, effort and dedication to ensure that each individual victim is identified and recognised. Dariusz doesn't just erect monuments on mass grave sites, as worthy as that endeavour would be in its own, but he researches each victim. In Kroshenko, I saw firsthand how Dariusz restored the memory of Kroshenko of their murdered residents. This was done through the sheer force of Dariusz's determination and charisma to enlist an army of local, rural Polish volunteers and gain the support and trust of the local government officials, church clergy and schools. To me, this was most exemplified by the reading out loud of each name of the victim. It was a deeply haunting moment, then followed by Kaddish. Since Kroshenko in 2018, Dariusz has continued his work in other nearby towns, and most recently, just last week in Novi Sad, where 12,000 victims were identified and commemorated. Dariusz Popiela and People Not Numbers was awarded the 2021 Polin Award, arguably the most prestigious Polish Jewish award in the world. So it is with great delight the ASPJ now presents to you the Australian premiere of the film Edge of Light, to be followed by a talk from Dariusz.
Hello, good evening everyone. I hope you enjoyed the movie. For me it was second time that I saw it in the cinema, so it was I saw something new that I didn't see before. What can I say? It's a quite a strange situation. I am far, far away from my home at the other side of the world, and what I wanted to do at the beginning, I just want to renovate one cemetery in Kroshenko. Now I am in Australia, and this is quite unique for me and something unbelievable. This movie was about the project in 2020. Since that moment, we already finished project in Nowy Targ, when we commemorate 3,000 Holocaust victims, exactly in the same way that you saw at the movie. Exactly, there were similar stories with the Macevod. We find out Macevod at the backyard, we find out Macevod at the airport, in many strange places. And we also renovate them, we make lapidary, we find out 3 mass graves, we put 3 monuments, and what is most important, we commemorate 3,000 people with name and surname. That was most important. And just 2 weeks before, 2 weeks from today, we already, 2 weeks ago, we commemorate 12,000 Holocaust victims in my hometown, in Nowy Sad. You heard this story in the movie. The reason also why I act, in the Dunajec River, I used to train since I was 7. And the place where I train usually was the place where I was dreaming about success, about good form, good shape, where I train. Even today, when I am getting back from my training camps, I do some trainings at the Dunajec River. And I just didn't, till I was 20 few years old, I didn't realize that between two bridges in my hometown, it was a place where the Germans, concentrate 15,000 people, and slowly, day by day, in 1 week, they all were they gone to the Belgian extermination camp. Yeah? And this was something unbelievable for me, that the same place that in my head was place of youth, yeah, the place of the childhood, from the other hand was a last views for the Jews from my city. I have no idea about them before. And yeah, and this year, 2 weeks ago, with the president of our city, with the descendant from nearly 100 descendants all around the world were with us, also from Australia, from Sydney. They were with us, and yeah, and it was, I don't know how to say, but it was one of the goal of my life, because when I realized that my city have no knowledge, have no memory, in fact, it was big shock. I was naive, because I didn't, today it's different, but before I have no Jewish friends. I have, you know, you see on the movie, this is the movie about Jew without Jew, in fact. The only one person that is Jew was the Alexander from the Rabbinic Commission from Warsaw. And just imagine, we have two people, for 38 million people in Poland, we have two people that they are from the Rabbinic Commission, and if you search for the mass grave or you work at the cemetery, only they can assist you. So sometimes you need to wait for few months for them, because, as you know, Poland is one big cemetery for the Jewish people. Yeah? So this is the movie about Jew without Jew, and for me it is always hard, because you need to, yeah, I think for most of you it's strange to find out Matzevot at the backyard. I think in Australia it's impossible, things like this. But the Shoah, the Holocaust, was made in my homeland, yeah, in Poland, and still till today there is a lot of, it's not finishing, it's not chapter in the book that you just close the book and it's finished. There is still a lot of work to do. There are the hundreds and thousands of, even in Poland we don't know exactly how many cemeteries are in Poland, Jewish cemetery. The official number is around 1,200, but no one knows, in fact. They are trying to count it, but it's not easy, because sometimes cemeteries are middle, are forest, completely without matzevot sometimes. Yeah? But as you can see in the movie, there are the Christian, mostly these people in the movie are Christian, or they are any religious. Yeah? But this is what I am trying to do in the local community. We are trying to bring people from the left, from the right, Jewish, non-Jewish, it doesn't matter for me. If you want to commemorate victims, it doesn't matter in what you believe, what color you are, but mostly in Poland we are white. So it's a different world, you know. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, we need support of the Jews around the Jewish community around the world. But I don't mean money. For each project, for the last project in Nowy Sad, I need to collect $500,000 of zloty. This is around $100,000 of dollars. Yeah, 100,000, maybe more. 170,000. Yeah. And for me, I am not a soccer player. Yeah? I am not Lewandowski that I can just 2 days of plays and I have money for the monument. Yeah? Of course, he's doing a lot of great things, but I just want to tell you that kayaking is not a soccer, you know. Yeah, I picked the wrong sport, maybe, but it's a sport which is tradition in my family. My father was a kayaker, my uncle, one uncle drowned during the training in the 1974. So it was, it's like this, yeah. And I collect this money. This is not a problem. The problem is that for the Jewish, I am a little, they are suspicious because I am non-Jewish, yeah? And for the Catholic, for the Polish, I am suspicious because they are suspicious because I am doing Jewish things, you know. So I am somewhere between, you know, and many Poles, many young Poles, still not enough, because in Polish Museum, Mr. Ezra said at the beginning about the prize, yeah? There is around 200 entries for the prize last year, yeah? And the Polish Museum is very proud and happy, yeah? But for me it's nothing. What is 200? In the country that is 38 millions, yeah, of people. It's not enough. It's simply not enough in the place where are no Jewish citizens. Andrew, big thanks to you, to your foundation. You believe us, you trust us. You know, I was searching for the money for the movie, also around the world, because in Poland, not many people cares about this movie. Yeah? They suppose it's another movie about the Jewish history and so on. And it was hard to find people that will trust us. You saw the consulate of German Republic, they support us. And then I asked Andrew, maybe you know someone in Australia will be interested. Yeah? And then Andrew said, hey, come on, I have foundation and I can try to help you. Yeah? And it was amazing. And I would like to thank you from all of my heart, because, you know, this was during the COVID time, the time that was sad for all of us, yeah? Some of our family members died and so on. It was really bad time. And now when I am looking back, it was just only one moment in my life, because usually I run, all the time I run. I don't have easy day. All the time there is something, training. Usually I train twice a day. I have a lot of training camps. And it was only one moment during COVID that I stay at home. Usually I am 200 days outside my home. And during the COVID we were locked down, so that was only one opportunity that Wojciech Szumowski, the movie director, that he can be with me, yeah? And this was something also very symbolical, yeah? The moment that was very bad, mostly for us, we changed to something good, that even today we are in Melbourne, yeah? With our movie, which if someone will tell me this, I don't know, that in few years I will be in Melbourne, in Australia with the movie, I will say, hey, come on, you drink too much or you smoke something strange, yeah? Because as I said at the beginning, I had no clue about the halacha rules. I have no clue. I even have no Jewish friend, yeah? It's hard in my hometown. Because usually I ask children in the school, not children, youth, yeah? I ask them, what do you think, how many Jewish citizens are in our city? Yeah? They say 1,000, 2,000, yeah? And I said, no, this is just one Miss Anya. One Miss Anya is in my hometown, yeah? There is 100,000 people, one Jewish lady, yeah? And in the imagination, in the stereotypes, there is still plenty of Jews, yeah? And this is something which we need to fight. We fight with the stereotypes, which are very, very often, even with the mayor of Krościenko, Czarny Dunajec, doesn't matter. Usually they ask, Mr. Dariusz, maybe better don't do it, because the nearly all square was Jewish citizens, yeah? They will come back, they will take our property, yeah? Because this is never-ending story, yeah? And for me, it is hard to speak, you know, with someone who say stereotypes and so on. But I want to do this, because I want to change something. So I need to be a little bit diplomatic, you know, and I work with them about their memory as well. And as we start in Krościenko, for example, the mayor was a little bit with the distance, you know. He was, as I told you, what about the property and so on. This was the most important. And I asked him, Mr. Mayor, do you know how many Jews survived Holocaust? Yeah? No idea, but people say there is everything is Jewish in the square and so. I said just 6 persons, yeah? 6 persons, and Descendant, one of this family, they are with us today, yeah? And for me it was also shock, because I suppose this is the history with the dot at the end, yeah? But we still meet the Descendant. This is still important for them, and it still go on, yeah? And this mayor, yeah, at the beginning he was skeptic, yeah? And I said, Mr. Mayor, 6 persons survive. I'm not sure if they want to come back and take the property, yeah? Let's speak on this level, yeah? But I have to, because I want to change something. And do you know how many Jews were in your city? No idea. I said 256, yeah, according to the records. Yeah? And I didn't know. So I tell him the story, story about the children, about the mothers, about people. Like the name of my project, people not number. This is what we try to change. And then during the ceremony, he was in the Highlander hat on the head, yeah, and he said to Descendant, welcome in your motherland, welcome in the city of your grandfather and grandmother. Eh? And for me, this is the small victory, you know. Small victory, not with the anti-Semitic polls or something like this, with the Nazi, because this old ideology still survive when we forget about the victims. This is when the Mr. Turski say, don't be indifferent, yeah, obojętny. Nie bądź, tak, yeah, yeah. And this is something which I try to explain to the youth. If you don't do nothing, you play in the same league with the Nazi. That's the very clear and very very straight. If you do something or you just remember them, remember the neighbors, you are not in the same league. And this is something what we need to understand in Poland, because very often the knowledge about Holocaust is like in the movie. I have no clue what happened in my city. I have no idea that 1/3, nearly 1/2, 12,000 people were murdered. Yeah? And until 20 few years, I have no idea about it. Yeah? And I understand people that they have no clue about it. And I never judge to the people. I don't make some judgment and so on. I try to explain, try to bring some knowledge. And usually, as you saw at the movie, we start with the 3 people. And then 2 people, in fact, Karolina and I at the beginning, then was Michał. And in nearly each scene, you see some new people are coming. We finished with nearly 30 people in the project. But 30 people, I mean people that you can call during the night, and you can say there is something has to be done at the cemetery, and they are ready to go. Yeah? So very, very involved in the project. There were many volunteers from the schools. We cooperate with the schools, because for me it's very important what will happen afterwards, after I leave, because people suppose I have connection to Krościenko, Grybów, Czarny Dunajec, Nowy Targ. I have some family there. I say no, my only connection are the murdered Jews. And I am non-Jew, so for them it's a little bit strange, yeah? But because I'm outsider, I can help to the people like Michał, like Kamil in Grybów, like Karolina in Nowy Targ, like Łukasz in Nowy Sącz. I can help them because I am outsider. Sometimes help me this sport story, that I am Olympians, I have eagle on my chest and so on. So it's a little bit easier. And it's easy to go to the priest and speak, yeah? To the Catholic priest, because we are acting in the Catholic environment. Yeah, there are no Jews there. And for example, in Grybów, they told me, no, don't go to the priest, because we usually ask them to visit our commemoration. And he said, the Jews have rabbis, so rabbi can say the psalm. For what do you need me? Yeah? And I was thinking, yeah, but I need to hear this from him directly, to give him a chance, yeah? Because I don't want to say, for example, this politician didn't help or this priest, when I don't speak with them. Yeah? So I always say that I need to give people the chance to help us. Yeah? So we visit this priest, and I didn't have idea what to say. And he started again, the Jews have rabbis, so why you need me? And then suddenly I have like, I don't know, some miracle in my head, and I say, hey, but we need you. You should come for the people that are part of the project, which they are from your parish. Yeah? And then he started to thinking, and he said, yeah, you are right. They are from my parish, so I should be there. Yeah, and he was there, and it was amazing. Of course, with Rabbi Shudrich, they pray. It was really something special. And what is very important, this each ceremony we finish. That we are reading all the name and surname. Yeah? This is symbolically some kind of burial that they didn't have because of the Holocaust. Yeah? So this is something for us very important, and we have done it. We have done it the same in Nowy Sącz. We read 12,000 name and surname. So just what I want to say, like Professor Turski said, don't be indifferent. Yeah? This is the biggest challenge that I am trying to do in Poland. Don't be indifferent. I don't say to the people, you need to remember, you need to do this or that. No, never. Even I didn't collect any zloty, any dollar from the council. Yeah? Now we build a monument, like I told you, for $170,000, and there is no governmental money. It's just private money. I walk from people to people, from sponsor to sponsor. I try to change, I try to reach the amount, yeah, because everything costs, yeah. But this is the most important thing, because people always ask me, yeah, it's for sure hard. Yeah, it's not easy. After Nowy Sącz, I have enough, in fact, yeah. So visit here in Australia give me some new power, because we have a lot of protest in Nowy Sącz. Not from the regular people, but from the governmental people, yeah? From the people that are in parliament. Yeah? And this was for me shock, because I didn't expect this, yeah, in my hometown. And there was all the time boxing. Even at the beginning, the city gave us the land, property, where we can build the monument. But this was funny, because according to the law, at this little square, you cannot build monument. So they give us something, but you cannot build anything higher than 1.30 meters. Yeah? And for me, in my imagination, the monument for the Holocaust victims should be something for ages, yeah? Something really, really, really good, yeah? Really nice. Yeah, impressive, impressive. So what we have done, this was a little bit Talmudic way of thinking. If we cannot make it higher than 1.50 meters, we go to the earth, yeah? We go to the ground. We make a big hole, and now the walls are nearly 3 meters high, yeah? But they are over the... Thank you. This was idea, and according to the law, it's all clear. They cannot do anything, but the parliament members, we have two special parliament members. Yeah, yeah, and they try to stop this because of the building law, construction law, yeah? And for the construction, from the architect from the city council was clear, hey, I cannot stop it because it's a proper way. They find out the gap and they are doing in the proper way. And 2 weeks ago we commemorate with the soldier assist, with the Hur from Nitzan, Hur from Israel, a lot of descendants from US, Israel, and it was nearly 1,000 people from my city, so it was something unique. It was international commemoration made by amateur, because we are amateur. We never have done it before. Yeah? But this is very important. I find out in my life amazing people with the big hearts, and there are many people in Poland with such a big heart. Like Wojtek said, here's the Highlander, you know, and he said, why not? Why not? People ask why you are doing this, and why not? What's the problem with this? When people heard that we are doing something at the Jewish cemetery, why not? It's so simple. Yeah? So I would like to thank you to all of you, what for me is very important, your mental support. If you sometimes think about Dariusz or people like me in Poland, it gives us power, because like I told you, we are completely alone in many situations. We are just alone, so it's good. And in Poland you have just really small institutions, small foundation that they are a Jewish foundation or institute. You have really, like I told you, it's nearly impossible to catch some Jew, to speak with him. You have tourists in Krakow, yeah? or a small community. It's around 200 people in the religious community in Krakow. 200, it's really, really small amount. Yeah. So this is what is very important. The projects are done by non-Jewish people, but the Jewish people are around. They support me sometimes with money, sometimes with good word, sometimes with contacts, and this is very, very important. And this is for what I would like to thank you. And if you have any question, yeah, I speak too long. Why you don't say finish? I should finish.
Thank you very much, Dariusz. Now I've got time for a few questions.
I'd like you to just speak a little bit about how you find out the names that go on the monuments.
yeah.
How do you get to that
Yeah,
research?
this is very important. Andrew asked about the data, how we find out the people at the monument. For example, this is the years project. Yeah? For example, in Grybów, Kamil Kmak, he find out the name and surname for nearly 10 years from different records. Sometimes it's city council records, but in Poland it's really hard because many archives were destroyed, many records were destroyed during the war. But what was, especially in Podhale area, what is unique, and that's why I act there, it's a special list of Judenrat, the Jewish council during the occupation period in the ghetto. They made a list, and we have this list. It survived originally. It's in the National Archives in Krakow. And this is very important sources, but we are trying to compare these sources with other one. So we check all database in Yad Vashem, in Bad Arolsen, and in Washington Holocaust Museum. You have plenty of institutions that you can check. And the list in Novi Sad for 12,000 people was made the same way. We know we have now knowledge, we have know-how to do it, and we have nearly 30 volunteers around Poland that they help us to collect this list. And it was the same. But in Novi Sad, what was very important, we had Descendants, nearly 200 Descendants help us, yeah, with the list. They have their own list of families, so it was a little bit helpful as well. But as I told you, the list is made in the nearly 6 countries around the world that we are comparing the sources. And what is very unique, and for me it was surprising, because in Novi Sad we suppose maybe we'll put just surnames because it's impossible to bring so many name and surname. Because in our imagination was that it's impossible to find them, yeah? And we said, maybe 3,000 surname, just surname, and it will be also very, very, very fine. But then we realized that in these all archives, they are there. They are still there, this name and surname, in Yad Vashem, in Bad Arolsen, in Washington Holocaust Museum. They still are there in these archives pages, in the testimonies. And this is huge work of the historian that I am familiar with, like Carolina. This is amazing woman, you know. She is a holy woman for me. She is doing amazing things. Usually people say my wife is holy because she is with me. Yeah? And in fact, yeah, she is a holy woman as well. So.
Okay, thank you. I've got a question for you, and I'll go first. Now that, even though you're still amateurs in what you do, you're more successful, so people must know when you come to the town what's going to happen and what the end result will be. So do you find you get an increased people wanting to help you, or do you get increased opposition, and sometimes from the government, as you mentioned before, do they want to interfere?
Yeah, that's the good question, because in many places it helps. Because, for example, after Krościenko, when I went to Grybów, I have the materials, I have evidence that the priest was with us, the main rabbi of Poland, there were some politicians, and I can say to the mayor, hey, look, in Krościenko, you see how they remember? They remember this way. Maybe we should do the same in your city. Yeah? So it's a little bit easier. But from the other hand, in Novi Sad, for example, there was a group of historians that they are a little bit more on the right, let's say, and this group of historians start to protest and made open letter to the media without any knowledge what we will do in this square, in fact. Most important for them was that it should be great, big quote, not quote, wyraz, expression, statement, that German did it. For them, this was most important. Eh? From my point of view, usually our commemoration is about the victims. Like we put on our tombstone of our family, we don't put who murdered them or something like this. Yeah? Of course, knowledge is very important, and at each cemetery of our project, or in Novi Sad at the square, in Novi Sad we have 6 educational plaques, that if someone stopped at the square, he had a basic knowledge about Holocaust, even with the name and surname of Gestapo members. There is everything. But on the monument, it's a place for the victims, not for the politic, not for some, I don't know, other statements. Yeah? This is exactly place of remembrance. Yeah? And for me, this is very important. So they make open letter about it, and they try to also make a problems. They say, they send strange things to the Krakow city council as well, to the main architect institution that can block us and so on. They do a lot of things, but I didn't answer till the last day. And I say, gentlemen, just visit our place and you will see what we have done. Yeah? And their worries were completely with no sense. Yeah? And this is the answer. So sometimes it helps mostly, but sometimes also make some opposition. But each of them can check what I have done before. I am not involved in any politics. Of course, I do what my heart tell me to do. So if there was a crisis of the Belarusian border with the Afghan refugees and different color refugees, let's say this way, because this is the real problem with the refugees now in Poland. I was there, you know, and they say I am a traitor, I am a, you know, and then 2 months later, I was in shock with the Ukrainian refugees. People bring them to home, they wait at the border zone to take people to their houses. It was completely different reaction. Yeah. And for me, this is something which I don't care about the politics, about what people will say. Since I have a vision of sometimes in archives we find out the photos of people, yeah, like I have here, the Vakshal family from Novi Sad. This photo was already find in the family album in the rubbish, 20 meters from our square where we make now the monument. And here you see the young people. Yeah? So for me, since the project in for example, Krościenko, yeah, for me it was shock because I read testimony about the Suskin family, for example, yeah? About a lot of families from Krościenko, and suddenly I find I am familiar with the descendant of the Suskin family in Melbourne, yeah? And they are here with us. Yeah? It's something for me. This was something unique, yeah? Something special, and this gives me a power. Yeah? This all names and surname, and sometimes the even picture of these people. And then I don't care what will say my, I don't know, uncle, aunt, father. At the beginning they have problem, and it's not your story. Why you are doing this? Now my father-in-law, they are most devoted people to the project, yeah, and they are the best volunteers. But at the beginning they were afraid. They have no clue about it. Thank you.
Hi, Dariusz. Your wife, you said your wife is holy. We think that you are holy. You're an extraordinary, no really, accept compliment. You often use the word unique. Well, I think it best describes you. You are very unique and you are very special. You have to accept it, you have no choice. I would like to ask you 3 questions. One, would you consider showing that film at Jewish film festivals?
Yeah, we try to. For example, it was Miami Jewish Festival. It was there, the premiere.
But also in other countries.
It's possible. Good. Yeah.
The second one is
we submitted the film for the Jewish Film Festival here, and it was rejected.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Shame.
That's the problem with the festival. Yeah, with the festival.
Absolutely.
With the festivals is a problem. The same situation was in Israel. They also
I'm
rejected.
sorry to hear that. That's a shame. The other thing is, have you heard of the film Pokłosie, The Aftermath?
Yes, of course.
Very relevant to what you had. And the third one, any chance of doing something like this in Jedwabne?
Yeah, this is a very good question, because I was in Jedwabne when I was going to the border with the Belarusian that I told you that we help refugees with the clothes, with the food and so on. I stopped in Jedwabne it was my first visit there. I read plenty of books about Jedwabne, and for me this is very important place. Yeah, and you know what was shock for me? In Jedwabne, there is a place where is the monument, and on the other side is a Jewish cemetery, and it's a completely jungle. It looks like horrible. And for me it was shock, because we are trying, and what was in my head, we are trying to say to the Poles that they should remember and they should change something, but from the other hand you have Jewish cemetery, and nearly each year there are the Rabbinic Commission, there are plenty of Jews in Jedwabne, and we don't do anything with the cemetery. And for me, my dream is, and the local activists already start to cleaning this cemetery. This is very special. I want to support them. I want to take the equipment and help them, because this is what we need to show to the locals at the first thing what we should do. Show them that this cemetery is important not only for the Jews, but for the whole Poland. And I think there should be some trips to this cemetery. I know that the most important is a monument, but first we need to clean this cemetery. And then it will be example for the locals that there are other people that they are caring. Because I know how people thinking in the small towns. Jews don't care, I will not care. I don't care about it, you know. And then we can show them that this place is important. The cemetery is important, not only for us, also for you, because this is part of your story, part of your history. And this is, I was in shock in Jedwabne, because, you know, in Poland nearly very often we speak about Jedwabne. There is a discussion, debate, there is a lot of strange things going on also. And for me it was shock that the cemetery can look like this, you know. And my dream is to take not my activists, but take activists from the whole Poland, go there at the, I don't know, summer holiday and clean the cemetery, you know. And this is my answer. So.
Hello, Dariusz. I don't have a question, I just want to give a statement. I want to give you the greatest thanks for yourself and Carolina for what you have done in Kościenko. My father went to Poland a number of times when he was alive, naturally, to try to do something with his cemetery, but he could never, was beyond his capabilities. So, and my father and his father were two of the people that survived from Kościenko. They survived because they went through Schindler's camp. Other people weren't as lucky. So, again, for the greatest thank you for what you've done for my father, for my grandmother, because she's named on there, as well as my grandfather and their daughter, my auntie.
Thank you, dear Avi. You don't need to say thank you. But this was amazing, because just in the short way, I realized that the family of Avi, the two brothers of Suskin, they survived from Schindler's List. I watched the Schindler movie, and I think many Poles did it. And I think in Kościenko, many people watch this movie, and they don't realize that their neighbors, this is the story of their neighbors, you know. And it was a big discovery in Kościenko when we published the article in the local news, because I always cooperate with the local newspaper, radio, television. I try to bring the story back. And usually, these are the story about the Jewish people. This is the most important. We publish the picture, publish the story to show, like you saw on the picture, Highlander suits, Jew. It was unique. It has some records at the Facebook. People share this story because they don't realize that Jew were Highlanders. Yeah? It was unbelievable. And you saw the small guy in the Highlander suit. It was Shlomo Horowitz. And in the school I often show this picture. After maybe 10 years, Shlomo was in the military uniform with the eagle on the head. He was fighting at the West, and he was murdered during the September fights with Germans. Yeah, so this is the part of the education project as well behind our activity.
When you say Highlander, you mean the
Górale, Górale. And as you heard, I also spoke a little bit like Górale, kurde, and like this, because I stay with them very... yeah, this is Highlander style. And the director sometimes make changes, because it was, like that. Please, and here was gentleman as well, so maybe afterwards, sir, I will come to you.
Hi, I've nearly forgotten my question. I've been waiting that long. And I think you've sort of answered it. Are you using the movie as an educational tool? Because it would be very powerful in schools, and it would be reaching communities of young people who may not have any contact with your ideas.
Yeah, this same I heard in Israel, that it should be published in the school in Israel. Yeah, we are, of course, it's not my movie. Producer is the
No, we don't want Israel. We want it in Poland.
Yeah, but
we want it in Poland with the youth.
Yeah, so my answer is with the pleasure, of course. The producer are ready to give it for free, of course. Yeah, so this is no question. But the question is, which school will publish this movie? You know, we are trying now to do some free. In Poland, we do the free premiere. In Czarny Dunajec, Nowy Targ, Nowy Sącz, Kraków. Next in November there will be in Warsaw Jewish Film Festival. So now it's a festival period. Movie director want to make short version of 45 minutes, like it's a lesson, school lesson, to publish in the school. But now it's a strange situation with the Polish school, because now we have law that usually I was very often in the schools. They invite me because I have so I do some speech, motivation speech. I say to the youth, follow your dream, do whatever you are dreaming about. Yeah? And I say my story. I don't say them about history, that in 1939 the Germans, no. I say them my story, which is full of losing, full of winning, full of shame, full of bright moment. I show them that this is life, you know. And with the pleasure, but we have law that now it's not so easy. You need to make appointment 2 months before, and the curator, I don't know how to say curator, the person responsible for the education in the area need to approve. So it depends from the director, because some of them ask them, some of them just invite and they don't care. It's a very individual story. But we are open, and of course, if someone want to, education for me, it's a very, very important. If my story can help with something, of course.
The other question is, how much, or if any, political lobbying is there for the government to contribute funding? You say you're not a political organisation, but I can't understand how you can divorce the Holocaust from politics.
Yeah, you can. It's very simple. It's very simple. I just told them, I just say to the local administration, because I usually heard, the rich Jew should do this, yeah? Why we? Or I heard, for example, let's Jew from Israel do this, yeah? I say, hey, come on. When they were murdered, there was no state of Israel. They were Polish citizens. And if you know some rich Jew, give me the number. I will use this contact. Yeah? Because this is also stereotype, you know. When they heard Jew, for sure it's a rich Jew, you know. So it's not so easy. But I say always to them, it's very simple. Do you want to commemorate people in this mass grave, or we should left it like it is? What's the proper way? With the dignity or without dignity? And for me, it's simple. I have no problems with politics. If they want to be with us, okay. They don't have speech during the commemoration. That's the only one fact that I don't like, to give the speech to the politics, because this is the moment for the victims. And this is for me very important. But of course, sometimes I am using politics. I am from the very conservative region, and I know a lot of peace members, let's say straight, yeah, peace party. And some of them, we are friends. We grow up together, we walk to the same schools and so on. And they are same people like I, yeah? Sometimes the ideas are not so smart, or we don't like them, but in few cases they help me with some situation, yeah? So for me, as a life lesson is to speak with both sides. Of course, there is a border that I will not pass through, yeah? I realize this, but give them the chance. This is my idea. Yeah? So one politics who was very high in the government, he helped me with one commemoration in Tarnów, at Tarnów Cemetery. No one cares about 2 Holocaust victims in the small city Kołaszczyce. The grave was in the water. No one cares about it. Yeah? I asked Rabbinic Commission. I asked plenty of people. Yeah, maybe one day, maybe one day. I was wondering, what should we do? And I find out solution with the politics. When the local politics saw the statement that this is one of the ministry, they were nearly ready to act in this same day, you know. And the story that takes nearly 10 years, we find out solution in 1 year. It was, I think, 5 months, and it was there was exhumation according to halakha with rabbinic commission, all was like it should be in the proper way. And the girls have a beautiful matseva at the Tarnów cemetery. Yeah? And without this politician, we will be waiting still. Yeah? And then in one email, change everything. And this show also that is not right, yeah? Because it shouldn't be in the official way. Yeah? I put some statement, I put some paper. Someone should care about it. Yeah? But it isn't like this. And with one email, one paper, it changed everything. So sometimes, yeah, after 2 weeks, not because of this story, but he was not anymore in the ministry, so we used the window, and it's like this. Yeah.
Thank you, Dariusz, for what you are doing, because we should never forget what happened to the Jewish people. Yet, as a sportsman, you must be surely aware that the first thing the Nazis did when they came to power, they forbid the Jewish people to join sports club and kick them out from there. Today, we live in a world when if you happen to be a Russian sportsman, you're not allowed to play in Russian competitions or even get a visa to another country if you're just a Russian. So I was wondering, how long do you think it would take before we, as people, stop discriminating against other people because of their ethnicity, religion, or nationality? Will it be years, decades, centuries? Thank you.
Okay, you know, it's of course tough question, but I am in the place, in the Melbourne, which I am, for a few days, I am in shock, because I see rabbis on the street, I see Orthodox, I see Indians, I see plenty of different culture, and maybe your story is an inspiration, the Australian story. For sure I don't know everything. For sure, like everywhere there are good, bright and dark side, yeah, of everything. But in my opinion, if we not educate people in the proper way, it will take ages or something like this. Because just what we see, what is going on at our eastern border in Poland, yeah, this is never-ending story. We say never again. But never again happened in Pristina, in Yugoslavia. Yeah? Never again happened in Rwanda. Never again happened in many places, and still in Africa. We can speak for hours about never again. Yeah? And this is the problem. And for me, this is simple, you know. But I don't know how to change these all stereotypes, to change this mental that someone is worse just because of the color, just because of beliefs. That's the biggest challenge. Yeah? And I know that my story will not change the world. This is impossible. But we say in Poland, kropla drąży skałę. Yeah? How should I say in English? It's hard. But let's say the small thing can start to some changes. Yeah? And I believe in this. Yeah? Before, I will never, 10 years ago, if someone will told me that the president of my city will tell, during the official commemoration, will say to me, thank you, Dariusz, for this, what you are doing, for this monument, for the education, yeah? And people will give applause, I will say it's some dream that don't exist, you know. But it happens, and now the people from my city, because it's you can see on our website how our monument is designed, they can nearly collapse by the memory. They cannot walk around and say, I didn't saw it or something. It's such a nice architectural idea that they nearly collapse or they can hit, yeah, yeah, on the memory. And this is what I, you know, and you say 100,000 people, yeah, in my city, but it starts some small changes, yeah, in this city, yeah. In Poland, it's not so small. Here you have nearly 5 million, so it's completely different. But in Poland, yeah, and it's like this. So, yeah, I think with the people with the good hearts, we can change a lot of things, yeah. But the question is, who will be stronger? The dark side of our nature or bright? Yeah. Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
You said that before you
You need to microphone so
started,
people can hear
Repeat
you.
the question if you don't.
you said before you started that you knew nothing about the Jews, and and now you've learned a lot. I was wondering, what have you studied or learned about what the Jewish beliefs and customs were of the time, just besides the fact that they were murdered there?
Yeah. For me, the most important thing, and I also make my master's
thesis.
in my school. I do. The topic was Polish administration law according to Halacha law. In the facts about the cemetery. Yeah? So for me, the most important from the Judaism was the rules about the cemetery. Yeah? Because as a Christian, I didn't knew exactly, it's a different rule at the Christian cemetery, different at the Jewish one. So for me, this all background about, I am of course not an expert, yeah? but I was learning about it. This was the most important, but I also I am interested in the culture and so on. So this is the topic that is all the time with me. Yeah? I'm not an expert, but I try to know more and more each day.
I want to squeeze one very quick thing.
Yeah.
Did you find that lady that lady in the film, her playmate, Sophia Lerner?
Yeah.
Did you ever find out what happened to Sophia?
No, we tried to discover, but the whole family, Lerner family, was murdered. So she was yeah. But we didn't find out any testimony about this lady. Maybe the name was different, and this will also give us a little bit more answers. But in fact, we didn't discover anything more. But this is a plenty of story. You know, very often I spoke with the witness, like these ladies, yeah, and there is always story about their friends, about the Jewish family. There is still memory in the old generation, but unfortunately they are not with us anymore. Yeah? And this is the big challenge for the future generation in Poland: what to do with this memory and how to remember. Yeah?
Galicia, which is the region where most heavily populated, the shtetls are little towns with a few thousand people and a few hundred Jews, is eastern Poland and western Ukraine in the modern borders. Do you want to comment quickly on the difference in the commemoration and the restoration projects going on in Poland and Ukraine?
Yeah, it's also a big subject. So just in a shortcut, in my opinion, this is big challenge as well at the eastern border. You know, in Poland very often we have, even in my town, before there was a monument at the cemetery, Catholic cemetery, where is written all victims of the German occupation. And you have nearly 200 names and surnames that they were executed during the 1949, 1945. And there was a small quote, and also Jew from our city, that they were murdered in the extermination camps. And that's it. About 12,000 people this was the balance, the difference, you know. And also this was the problem, I think, for some people from this governmental party, that at our monument you see the scale. You see sometimes 30 people from one family, yeah? The uncles, the aunts, the whole family with the kids. In Nowy Sącz was impossible to put the age. But you saw at the movie these numbers, there was the age of the victims. So people who visit our cemetery, they see that they were people with name and surname, sometimes the same name like I have, sometimes similar surname, because it's also this kind of situation, or age. Yeah, there was kids, children, people in my age, in the age of my friend, and so on. So you can try to be more with them, with the victims. Related to them, yeah. You can feel more emotion, yeah, with our monuments, and of course not everywhere in Poland it's possible to do this, but this is the balance, yeah. I think something what we need to change in our city is exactly this, that we need to bring back in the local history the Jewish history, which is our own history. But we split because of the communismus time, because there is a plenty of why, yeah? But now we can do this. We are the free people in the free country, and we can change it, yeah? And the Ukrainians now have a big challenge, yeah? And I think in Ukrainian, they are still, in some cases, I know the commemoration in Babiyar. Yeah, for example. Yeah, there are some commemoration really good, really nice, but also there is a big challenge because the population of Jewish citizens in Ukraine was huge. Yeah? Now, usually the Ukrainian visit the Orthodox, yeah? The Hasidic movement and so on. But I think in the future it will also change. But now they have war and they have never again, you know. Yeah.
Every victim has a name is a phrase often used in reference to the Holocaust. The numbers are so huge that it's ungraspable. 1.2 million in this death camp, 30,000 in this forest, 50,000 in that forest. So it's too much for us to comprehend. But as we've just seen in the film, what Dariusz does is treat each individual victim, each person killed in the Holocaust, and those killed pre-war, as we saw with his Matsebos, not only as a name, but as a life. Many people might say, and each year some do, every victim has a name, but it would be unlikely to be any other single person in the world who has returned more names to Holocaust victims than you, Dariusz. Dariusz restores life to the victims of mass shootings, where the Nazis came into a town, rounded up the Jews and simply killed them all, often in one day. And that was it, herded together, killed together, buried together, gone together. But thanks to Dariusz and his team, the victims now each have a name, an individual identity and dignity. This not only honours them and ensures that they are not forgotten, but makes the tragedy of the Holocaust, the individual murder of each of the victims, so stark. So thank you, Dariusz, for accepting our invitation to come to Australia to present our 2022 ASPJ Oration. It was a wonderful film and wonderful question and answer session. And thank you to all of you for coming tonight. We look forward to seeing you.